started. Give it a second to kick in. Outstanding. There we go. And thank each and every one of you again for being here with us. I'm going to go ahead and push on through the slides. We're going to start out today, give you a program manager update for Mrs. Sweeney. We're going to go over the annual review schedule for 2022. We're going to be working on creating an account for new employees. Just briefly run through that so you can let new individuals know how they need to create accounts if they need to. Updating your application during the annual review. We'll talk about the certificates of completion template, keeping up with your application after the annual review, and then we'll do a quick recap. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and push forward here and introduce you all to Mrs. Sophia Sweeney. Sophia, you got it.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for attending. And some people are not able to hear. I want to rejoin. I don't know, understand what's going on with their, why they can't hear, but normally if you can't hear, it's best you just rejoin. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so a few things we're going to go over today. First is going to be the new credential management queue. I'll take you through some slides in the future slides here shortly, but I'll go ahead and talk about funding real quick. With the continuing resolution having been extended on the 3rd of December, kind of threw a monkey wrench in our game when it comes to finance making those payments, right? Excuse me. So finance was unable to make any payments past 3 December due to the CR, and they could not do anything until they got the word that it was signed and moved forward. So when they did get the message that they could continue to pay or start paying, they absolutely started paying cases that were after the 4th. But of course, that did put them a bit behind. And again, there is a shortage of voucher examiners right now. So they're doing their best to get all the cases funded, although they are a little late on some. So when I talk about them being late just a little, it is absolutely, I did tell them that they could still pay for, like a day or two before if they knew they were going to be, if they were that late, right? But it is your right as a vendor, if you've already started the class and you do not want to try to start a soldier late, you can absolutely tell the finance that you cannot accept it, and they would have to, the soldier will have to find a new date for training. I know that's some people don't have that issue, or some vendors don't have that issue because they can kind of just start whenever, but there are some that have strict timelines. So we understand if you cannot accept a payment for that soldier to start late. The other thing I want to talk about is Army Cool and checking your credentials. There's a couple of reasons why soldiers have problems finding vendors when they're submitting their CA requests. First reason is they may have submitted or are looking at the wrong credential. And I'm using just the common one that we see a lot of mistakes on, and that is certified personal trainer, right? They want to take certified personal trainer and they select the credential certified personal trainer nasal or a different one, right? But the vendor they might want to select is NSCA. Well, if they don't, somebody's not on mute. So if they don't, there you go, mute it, right? If they don't select the correct credential, the correct vendor will not populate for that credential, right? So it's always important to ask them if they're talking to you and saying, like, I can't find you all in the system. Just make sure that they selected the correct credential that you have selected.
Oh, man.
Application. Oh, man, I know.
I guess it is happening.
Uh-oh.
It's late. It's okay.
All right, please make sure your mics are muted.
I don't know who that is because I can't mute him. Okay. anyways, I'd ask that you please go and check. The second part is checking to make sure what you have in your application is accurate, right? Every month, the credentials are updated in Army Cool. So we have a list in our CA page in Army Cool, a list of credentials that have been removed or added, right? This is what you need to go and check these out every month at the beginning of the month to verify your credential name didn't change. For example, if you originally had Lean Six Sigma, and again, I'm just throwing this just an example out. You had Lean Six Sigma in your application and it was working before. Soders can't find you anymore. You go to Army Cool and you find, oh, it was changed. It was no longer, Lean Six Sigma was removed, but the certified Lean Six Sigma is still there. If you don't change it in your application, the Soders will never be able to find you. So please, Mr. Gray is going to send out a list every single month to help you with that, to make sure you're, you see what credentials are there, but you can always go to Army Cool to the CA page to download that information. Snow tickets. So a couple updates with the snow. We sometimes get questions where someone's saying, well, I can't do this, or I don't, it doesn't show, or it's grayed out. Certain things we can assist with, and then there's the technical issues that we cannot assist with. If something is grayed out, that's usually a Deloitte technical issue that they can only fix. So we ask that when you're submitting a snow ticket, if you are going to request some type of technical issue, be specific in the categories that you select. There's a subcategory, a category for CA, and then the subcategory, which kind of, the issue, whatever the issue, or I guess the subcategory is CA. The category is like technical issues, right? So that it goes to the right people to get you fixed quickly. Also, if you could please be specific in your snow cases, that would be great. We also have some verbiage or text that's going to come out in each snow ticket shortly, probably within the month, where if you are selecting a certain category, a little prompt will come up and tell you, like, hey, you need to provide these items, like this, the vendor's name, the URL, so forth, to help you when submitting your CA request. And talking about the continuing resolution, obviously that was just extended to February 18th. That means we cannot pay, or finance cannot pay anything past 18 February. So just like with this CR, we're going to run into the same issues as we just had before. So to help get ahead of the game, it would be helpful if you are able to, if it's possible, don't set dates that are right after the 18th, because as historically speaking, every CR, an extension, always happens the last day, right? I don't remember one that has, well, I guess maybe the beginning of this fiscal year happened shortly after, but I would ask that if you could check your start dates, maybe don't have start dates for right after the CR, because if there is an extension or an actual resolution that doesn't take place until the 18th, that just means finance can't make payments again until the next week, which means there's going to be cases that are going to be rejected. So it's best if we just try to move at least a week past the CR for any type of start dates. That would be very helpful. And again, this is beneficial for all parties, okay? All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in or ask, ask your question in the chat box. All right, so let's go over the vendor credential management tool. This is great. We're very excited that this has come up. And when you log in, you should see the credential management tab on your homepage, right? And when you do go to this page, just know that you will only be able to see cases that have been processed and moved to finance for payment by my CA team. Now, just know, if you please don't ask or send us questions like, hey, can you check on these Soders? If they have not been moved to your queue, we're not going to be able to tell you regardless, okay? Because it could be still sitting in the queue. We haven't even gotten to them. So if you just be patient, if they did do it by that date, you will see them in your queue, All right, we can't talk about cases that we have not moved over yet. Next slide, please. Okay, so you will see once you do click on that credential management tab, this is what your tab looks like, or your page looks like. And it has a lot of information there, any type of pending, okay, overdue, those type of things. That's what you're going to see, the statuses of all of these. Okay, you're also going to see, start dates that the soldier selected, their end dates that they selected, or what the credential is, and so forth. A lot of great information here that would definitely be beneficial to you and also to assist in making things right if they are not right at this point, right? So like I said, and I'm going to keep on stressing this, you're not going to see any cases until it has been moved to finance for payment, okay? And also, just because you see it on this queue does not mean it is that soldiers are approved. You can see in the status tab, you'll know when something has been paid or what is pending payment. If it's pending payment, then please do not allow the soldier to start, okay? They cannot start until they receive the message from finance stating it was funded, right? They cannot start until they have been funded and they get that message, right? On this page as well, you're able to sort. You can press the little up and down, click on the up and down arrow to see whatever you want to do, whether it be in alphabetical order, by status of pending payment if you'd like. So you can do that. You can also search, right? And earlier I put out a message about a glitch in the system to where even after you upload a certificate of completion, it doesn't necessarily show up again in this on your home page as that you submitted it or pending review for the completion. That is eventually going to be fixed, but until that time, if you're worried because it doesn't show in there, you can always hit search and you'll see whether you did upload it or you didn't. That is accurate if you do search that way. We need your help really when it comes to pushing these cases over. If a soldier has submitted like a screenshot, okay, we will reject it. If it doesn't match, we are going to reject them. It does still need to match. The soldier still needs to, ask you for a quote. And again, this is helpful to those that really require registration. So please, even if you don't.
Somebody else. Oh yeah, 20 minutes in. They're probably almost done.
Hi, can you please put your phone on mute?
I put it on my desktop again. Maybe next time I'll be able to.
Okay, let me just mute you.
Maybe I'll remember.
Okay, anyways, some people don't require the registration, but we are still making everybody do it. The soldier cannot bypass that actual part. So if you see on your page that somebody's start date or end date is way off, please reach out to that soldier and let them know that they need to submit a snow ticket to fix those dates. If you see a soldier that's on here that is not somebody you know about, that you can't just have on your list, please reach out to them and ask them to either register or or if you just don't, if they're not supposed to be on there, come time when finance makes the payment, you can absolutely tell them that that person is not somebody that has registered with your course with your company. Okay, next slide, please. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. So when you click on view, you can absolutely see the soldier CA request. All right, a few things for you to note on here. You are able to see the soldier's information by clicking on the soldier's profile page. You're also able to see, again, whether what the price is at the bottom, what it is that they're asking for, their start date, end date, right? So here's the thing, right? Some people have updated their prices and they have increased. However, when the soldier first submitted, it was under the old price. We're asking that you honor these prices, and we've never really had any issues with anyone honoring them, but I always put it out because sometimes when finance calls, the vendor will say, hey, that's not the right price. Okay, we ask that you honor the price that is listed currently with that SODR CA request. And you're always going to be able to see it again, because by the time it gets to finance and they're calling you to make that payment, you already know what what's on their CA request as far as dollar amount. If you wanted to fix something, or SODR has, the wrong dates or the wrong course, please contact a SODR by clicking on their SODR profile page. Go ahead and next slide, please. And then there you're going to find their email and their phone number that they've listed. You can absolutely reach out to them to make any changes. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to show you how to upload a SODR's proof of completion. Go ahead, next slide. Okay, once you're on that CA request, you should see the upload supporting files little yellow tab. Click on that button and you can upload the file. You can upload about 5 documents, and that's as much as you'll be able to upload. If you make a mistake and you need to remove one, there is going to be a little trash can for you to delete those documents. If a SODR has already uploaded something, you cannot remove it, but you'll still be able to upload your documents, okay? And just know that if a SODR is within their, or let's say their end date is passed, they are automatically sent an email letting them know that their course date has passed and they've got 10 business days to upload that certificate of completion. All vendors, or whatever vendor that SODR has taken a course with or exam, will appear, you will receive that, you'll be CC'd on that email, okay? So you know also what's going on. You're going to see who's overdue, who's supposed to be, a certificate of completion is supposed to be uploaded. That is your responsibility to upload those certificates of completion. It's no longer the SODR's responsibility, with the exception of a couple, and I'll explain those. But per the MOA and the CA policy, it's your responsibility to upload those certificates of completion, right? We finally got this working for you. Now, there are certain instances where a vendor might sell the actual exam, but you don't receive the results, okay? And if you do not receive those results, totally understand. That is why the SODR, is able to still upload the certificate of completion, especially in those specific instances. So the question I see is, do we need to send a copy of the certificate to the student? And you can absolutely do that. This is just for Army Ignited, but you should. You should be sending it to the SODR as well. And Emilio asks, so all the responsibility falls on the vendor and not the SODR. Are you not worried that you will lose vendors? So yes, Emilio, we are, the responsibility is on the vendors, with the exception of those that offer exams that they do not receive results for. That is on the SODR. Emilio, that is actually part of the MOA that everyone agreed to when they first became vendors for the CA program. If that is something that happens, unfortunately, that is something that happens, right? That we lose a vendor because they don't want to comply. We got thousands of schools that comply with uploading everyone's grades, and this is actually a smaller program than the TA program, but it is a requirement as well for our program. And I understand some get a blanket, file, but in this instance, it is the vendor's responsibility. And asked, a completed status indicates the certificate of completion does not need to be uploaded. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. Completed, withdrawn, those are not things that you would have to worry about. The completed has already been reviewed by the CA team and moved forward. And withdrawn that is just awareness for you. That SODR withdrew, okay? Let's see, when people pass a certification exam, they are issued a certificate for their records. Yes, they are, and that is what they would have to upload in their CA request if that is what they're asking for. If they requested an exam, that is what they would have to upload in the system. When does that take effect? The vendor uploads. That has, as of the, I think it was like the 4th or 5th of December, when you all had the ability to now upload, that is when it took place. It has always been in the MOA that you would do it. We just didn't have the ability for you to do it. We obviously know it's going to take a little time for you all because you just received this ability. So no one's on the chopping block yet until we see a pattern of someone's never uploading their certificate. Yad asked, does it have to be in CA format or a vendor certificate can be uploaded? No, you can absolutely upload your own certificate of completion as long as it meets all the criteria. Mr. Gray has sent that certificate of completion template out. All we need is all of that information on whatever your certificate is. And then when people pass the certification exam, they're issued a certificate for their records as a vendor. Sending certificates individually creates a process that doesn't actually exist within our organization. Consultants not use that certificate they're issued themselves. If it is an exam that you do not receive results from, the soldier can upload that certificate of completion. But if it is an exam that you receive results on, it is your responsibility to upload that certificate of completion. Kevin said, and for soldiers who did not complete a program, they failed, etc., we need to upload a certificate that states they either failed or did not complete the program. Yes, absolutely. Failures get uploaded in here as well. Non-completions after that end date, they just never completed, never showed up. They also receive a non-completion certificate. And Avis said, what if the soldier profile does not reflect the exam taken? I need to ask you what else. Not really sure. If you could come up on the net and be specific on that one, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I went in to upload certificates of completion for 2 soldiers. One passed, one failed. The failed candidate has a profile and exam of something that he took previously, but the exam that he took this time is not in there. So I couldn't upload the certificate of completion because what he has in there is not reflective of what the exam he took. It's a credential that he currently holds. So I'm not sure what to do about that one.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind, could you please email me with the information so that I can take a peek into that and do some research?
Okay.
Figure out what to do on that one. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so one last thing on this one, and this might address Emilio's question. Okay, say that one again about Raquel's comment. Okay, when a person passes an exam, a certification, they're issued a certificate for records as a vendor. Sending certificates individually creates a process that does not actually exist within our organization. And Raquel, if you don't mind, what organization are you with? And can soldiers not use the certificate they're issued themselves? So I was saying, Emilio, that it is still, if it is an exam that you provide, not let's just go back and say like, Emilio, you purchased CompTIA, but you're not CompTIA, right? You just offer that as an exam that they can request from you. You don't get that actual the results for that CompTIA exam, right? So then that's the soldier's responsibility to do that. But if Emilio offers an exam for Lean Six Sigma and you get the results for that Lean Six Sigma credential or training, whatever it is, you must upload that certificate of completion into that soldier's account. If you have a bundle, right? So if you bundle your stuff and you say, I offer you training at $200 and you get a free exam with that $200. The only thing we need you to upload is the certificate of completion for the training. You don't have to wait for the exam later on down the road. Just the certificate of completion for training, because that is what we funded. Okay, and Chili says, I'm not quite clear on someone who doesn't complete my course. Why would I create a certificate of non-completion? Omission, if the student doesn't have my certificate of completion uploaded, it's quite clear they didn't complete the course. Right, so that case doesn't close out automatically. That has to be closed out. So there has to be something uploaded into that, that soldier's case so that it can be closed out. So you would just upload, soldier did not attend, information, you upload that, it's already past the end date, right? The end date is already passed. As long as you upload that, that is all you have to do. That's letting us know that the soldier has failed to attend or failed to attend the course. I hope that answered your question, Chili. Okay, last slide, please. No, almost. Geez, I always forget this one. Okay, so once you have submitted your case or your certificate of completion, you're going to go back to your homepage and it'll say pending review of completion, which means it's now with the CA team for our completion, right? And then once it's done by our team, it'll automatically say completed. But again, if there's an issue, there's still like this little glitch in the system, you may not see it right away. It will eventually appear, but you can search and you'll see it the right way. And what does overdue access enrollment status mean? Okay, I gotta go back and look at that one. It could mean that that case has not been funded yet by finance, but it's still, so if the case was supposed to be paid yesterday and finance has still not paid it, it's gonna show up as it's still overdue, right? Overdue for the payment. Or in this case, I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. And if you send me a case number and email, I'll tell you exactly what the issue is there. But that is basically, it's not on you. It's finance has to make that payment or they have to reject it, one of the two. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Chili. All right. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so just like I said, things to remember, you're not going to see those cases until a CA team has processed the case. It may be the day of or day after to receive payment for the finance team. Again, they are trying their best to get through all of the payments, but they have fallen just a tad bit behind. Please don't ask, you cannot wait for that payment. You can always tell the soldier that they can withdraw from the course. Please don't send them to our email or Snow to have them ask us to pay early. We're getting a lot of those like, hey, can you tell CA team to pay yours? I need my payment by this date. Because the bottom line is this, we have until the end or the day of to make that payment, right? You either want to allow it or you don't have to. It's totally up to you. But if you're not going to wait for the day of, if it hasn't been paid yet, please let the soldier know to withdraw in the system so that, we can move forward with them. We hate that we're so kind of far behind. We did not want to do that, but again, we cannot help CR happening and throwing a monkey wrench in our game and, the shortage of people making payments. So we apologize for that. We hope to get up sooner, a lot farther out in advance, like we were doing prior to the end of the fiscal year. Okay, please upload the certificates of completion within 10 business days after the end date. Again, it could result in a warning, like, hey, look, we've noticed you haven't updated anything. And then if you continue to fail to upload, then it will be placed on suspension, okay, until you get them complete, and then we can reopen. So April asked, the certificate non-completion have 10-day deadline? Yes, it's still the same thing. But if you know a soldier is still in the middle of the course, they just picked the wrong end date, you can always reach out to them and say, hey, submit a snow ticket and ask that your case be extended so that you have time to finish your case. Because a lot of them just don't pick the end dates like they should, right? They just kind of throw out a date and they blame us and say we picked it, but we cannot pick their start and end dates. They have to do that themselves. All right, and then I talked about please honor the prices that the soldier has requested at the time that they requested. Okay, so if there's any questions, I'll go ahead and answer them at the end or through the chat so I can let Mr. Gray get on with his portion. Thank you, Russell.
Thanks, Sophia. And I'm going to throw one more thing out to the vendors. If you have a soldier that has a completion date in the system, say it's the 24th of December, but that soldier actually gets done on the 13th of December, then that's the date for your certificate of completion. It's the date that they finished. And we will actually show you the template for the certificate of completion again during this training, and we will also provide that to each and every one of you in the event that you want to use it for the completions or the non-completions and so forth. So we will definitely go into that here in just a few minutes. Let me see. All right, so we are getting ready to head into our annual review schedule. And I will go ahead and tell you that that is going to begin on the 10th of January with letters A through D. Every group will have 72 hours to update their application. What I will be doing is every day between the 10th and 17th, I will take the vendors in that category and I will put their accounts on hold. Your accounts will be on hold for 72 hours so you can go in, review, do all the information you need to do. As soon as you're done, send us an email back. Let us know, hey, we're good to go. Our application's good, or we've resubmitted. Or even if you are a brand new vendor to the CA program and you say, hey, I just joined CA in December. We don't have anything to change. We're good to go. On your date, when your alphabet comes up, shoot us an email and we'll remove the hold from your account. The next couple slides here, I'm going to go over creating the account for the new employees, as well as talk about a little bit about what you're going to see in your application, which you should be looking at to review to make sure everything's good to go. And that is 72 business hours. Thank you, Kamika. All right. So if you have a new employee that you want to add to your account to be able to make updates to your application, or you have an individual that you want to submit the certificates of completion or items like that, or be able to interact on your account or on the vendor's behalf, they're going to follow the same steps that you did when you created your Army Ignited account. They're going to go into the Army Ignited website. If they already have a login.gov account, that is great. Please do not create a new one if you already have one. If you don't, you'll go through the process and create a new login.gov account. Once you get authenticated and you're good to go there, shoot us an email and let us know that you have created your vendor account and let us know the email address that it was created with. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take that email, we're going to put it into the system, we're going to connect that email to the main vendor account. That way that individual has access. Of course, on your home screen, if you click on your name up near the welcome, it's also going to take you to how-to guides that will talk about completing the application, adding training and exams. There's a few other things in there, so that is a resource to help you out if you need a little more help. And definitely, I will be sending out a copy of these slides with a link for each one of the trainings that were conducted today, as well as a copy of the certificate of completion. So yes, I will be sending that out at the end. Okay, let me see. All right, so part one of your application that you're going to need to take a look at and verify. You're going to make sure that your vendor name is good. If you've had any updates to your URL, this is a good time to update those. Your address, city, state, zip, and country are all required items. If your company has not been in business for more than 2 years, or if you're operating under a different name in sam.gov, but then your company just decided to open up a brand new business, but it has not been in business for 2 years, you cannot participate in Army CA. There's no waiver to that. So all of you, you're on here because you're good to go so far. But just remember, if for some reason your company decides to do a split and you want to open up a side business, if that business is not listed under your SAM.gov account as doing business as under the main title, then it will be disapproved. And then, of course, the primary POC information. And on the next slide here, I'll give you a look of what all that's going to look like when you go into the system. So here you have again, your name, your URL, your address, your city, state, zip, country, how many years you've been in business, and then your POC information. This is important, the primary vendor POC, because this is not only who the soldiers are going to be able to look up and reach out to for assistance, but this is also if we disapprove your application or we have information that needs to be passed along, this is the email address for the individual that we're going to send that information to. So if this is not who you want that information to go to, please update your applications and make sure that the primary vendor POC is the person that you want contacted. Do we have some questions coming up there, Sophia?
Oh,
We good? All right. So part two of the application
sorry,
is,
sorry, it kept going in and out on me.
oh,
Just real quick, there is a question, and I'm not sure that if this is referring to your deadline. This says, Kamika Shah asked, is that 72 business hours or 72 hours?
yep, that's going to be 72 business hours.
Perfect. And then Lindsay asked, we had not we have no participants yet. So will we have annual vendor application review process?
Yes, so any vendor that was approved in the Army Ignited system prior to January 1st of 2022 is going to be in the review process. If you've had nothing that's changed and your company is still good to go, again, on your date for your letters, just shoot us an email. Hey, we're good to go, and I'll remove the hold from your account. Is that everything so far, Sophia?
One more second. There is, I have, Raquel says, I have edits pending. Should I just wait for the updating period to revise instead?
And that's totally up to you. If you want to go ahead and square away your application now, you can go ahead and do so because again, is I check vendor pending list every morning. That's part of my morning process is to check any vendors that have pending in there. So if you want to go ahead and update your information now and make sure it's good to go, you're more than welcome to do that. And then, like I said, when your alphabet comes up, just shoot me an email to let me know that you're good to go.
Okay, and Victoria asked, if we need to currently fix our courses due to some changes being rejected, should should we wait until the annual review process starts to make those revisions?
Again, you can make them now or you can wait until the annual review. I will ask, and I'll put this in the email later. The week that we start the annual reviews, I'll kind of ask that vendors kind of hold off on submitting new items unless your letters come up. That way I don't get it confused and then put your account on hold and you've already sent your information in. But I'll send that out in the email traffic. But as far as items that you currently have that need to be fixed, if you want to go ahead and fix those now and get it submitted back to me, that's perfectly fine. And I'll take a look at it as soon as it comes into the system.
Ann Johnson asked, what if the primary POC person completing updates to the application is different than the person assisting with soldier inquiries?
So when we set up the email list in Army Ignited for the approved vendor list, um, it's going to have all the individuals that you've listed that you want on there as POCs. But if a soldier just goes out and doesn't look at that list and they're looking at your application, that POC is going to be that main person that they reach out to. So if it's someone different that you want it listed as, I would probably recommend updating your primary POC to make sure that's current. And we'll actually show those here in a few slides here in just a moment for the alternate PLCs as well for funding.
Okay, and the last question, Kevin asked, what about adding new courses? We can do that anytime, correct?
Absolutely, and that's a part of the briefing here today as well. But if you have new items to add, or you're uh, taking items off or reducing the cost of items that you already have listed, you do not have to wait that 90-day window. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit more as we move forward.
Okay, one last question, sorry. Just popped up. Laura asked, if there are no changes to the current application and the cage code is also current for 2022, is it necessary to reapply and is a hold necessary?
So if you're good to go for 2022, you do not have to resubmit your application. When your alphabet comes up, send us an email to let us know that you're good. Like I said, I'm one man deep doing this, just to let you guys know. So I'll be reviewing 367 plus vendors that we have in the account. So when I go through each day, I'm going off the alphabet list that I've already created, and I'm shutting down everybody's account. So if you're on that day and your account gets shut down, just shoot us a message and let us know, and I'll go in and fix it for you.
And okay, this is the last one until and then you can move on. But Raquel says, will soldiers be alerted that vendor accounts will be on hold? Oh, I mean, I can answer that one. The only thing the soldiers are going to know is that if they cannot see you, I mean, they won't be able to see you. That's all if you're on hold. So you would have to let them know. Because other than that, we can't tell everybody, or there's no way for us to really post anywhere like all these vendors are on hold or this person came off or whatever. So yeah, the quicker you get it done, the better, because then your hold will be removed. Okay, Russell.
All right. So part two is the payment information, and that's where your federal tax ID, your cage code expiration, which this is a great time to review to make sure that your cage code is not expiring anytime soon. If your cage code is good until the end of 2022 or until 2023, you're good to go there. But if you see that your cage code is going to expire in February or March, you might want to consider going ahead and updating that cage code, so it'll be one less thing that'll hold you up later. Access funding questions, the required questions there, the primary and alternate funding POCs. Those are also on part two, and give you a look here of what that looks like to you. Again, your cage code information, your federal tax ID, the required questions there. Please make sure you read those and comply with those. The primary POC and alternate POC, again, make sure that information is correct and that we have the email address and contact information directly to that individual. So when the finance team is looking to make the payment on behalf of the soldier, they have a direct contact to be able to reach out and take care of that. Let's see here. Okay. In part three, you're going to have your certificate of completion requirement, accredited and approving authorities. I'll go over that here in just a moment. If you don't mind, make sure your microphones are on mute for me, please. Make sure that if you are having the accredited or approved authorities, it's not required to mark those as yes. But again, I'll go into that just a second and you'll see it on the screen. Vendor URLs, files, stats, and stats of students hired. So I'll go ahead and show you that here, what that looks like. So again, the certificate of completion is a required item, but in the next section, it is okay if you're not a part of any of these agencies. But if you are, please identify yes that you are. That way it helps us when it comes time for the Office of Secretary of Defense to ask how we're connecting with these other bodies, so we can show proof that our vendors do have connections with these outside agencies. And then at the bottom part of this form here, you're going to see where it states the uh, vendor needs to update the URLs. If it has a URL spot there on any page, please put the URL. Also, this one talks about if there's any items that are required for the student to obtain for the credential, you can put a syllabus or something there. Stats on students that have taken the course, you can put that in the next spot. And then, of course, if you have stats on students that were hired after completing the courses, you can put that there as well. Part four, and this is the part of the application that we find a lot of vendors have issues with. So, definitely, if you have questions here, please ask. But I hope that the examples that I have here for you will kind of spell it out for you. But the part four, section one, it's going to be the training and exam name, the training or exam itself, the associated credential name. Remember that this must be listed in Army Cool, and this is what Mrs. Sweeney was talking about earlier. If you have a certification that has been removed, you need to check that list monthly, and I will be sending that list out to you at the beginning of every month. I'll send you a link so that you can go on and check the list for any credentials that were removed. If that credential has been removed, please remove it from your application. Just send us a message to let us know that, hey, this is being removed. We're updating our application to remove this. The format, if it's taught online, in person, or a hybrid approach, the location, and then, of course, providing training agendas and syllabuses. And this right here, again, shows you that. The training name, exam name. This is the associated credential name right there. Make sure that it matches. Good example, the CompTIA Security Plus CE. If I'm correct, this one isn't listed that way anymore from when I originally created these slides. Now it's just Security Plus. So again, this would be something to go in and check on your applications. The format, if it's online, and then the location, this will let you select if you offer it in certain states, or if you offer it in all the states, or if you offer it in different places around the world. It gives you that option. All right, part four, screen two. This is where our vendors have a lot of questions and reach back to us. So, like I said, I hope that the examples that I give you here in the next couple of slides will help you understand this part as well. And these slides will be sent out to each and every one of you. But this section here talks about the cost type. Is it an exam or training? The item name, the item provided by the vendor, yes or no, the number or ISBN, the cost and quantity. If you are offering a bundle, make sure that on the very top line, everything, the cost for everything is included there. And then if you offer things within that bundle, such as study material, books, uh, prep exams, the actual exam voucher themselves, headsets, anything like that. You list it below, you mark it as yes, you provide it, and you put the cost as $0.00. If you have an item on there that's required, say you offer this training course, but the soldier has to go look somewhere else to get this book to be able to complete the training course, you can mark that as no, and then put the costs and the URL and the contact information there. The only item that cannot be marked as no with a cost below in a training bundle is an exam voucher. If you do not offer the exam itself, easy, don't put it on your application. Here's a first example here. This is just an exam by itself. It's the SHRM CP. You see the cost here. It is provided by the vendor, and a space here to put the URL. Next example is if you are offering a training, and within that training, you also offer the exam voucher. The total cost is up here on the first line where it says training, and then below where it says exam, you'll see that it's $0.00. Here's another example of something that's provided in training, but it may not be provided by the vendor. Again, total cost of the training is up here at the top. This item's not included, so you'll select it as no. The cost of it here, you put the ISBN number, and there's also a box here for a URL for you to be able to put that so the soldier knows this is where I need to go. This is an example of a CDL license. So again, your total cost at the top, and then each of these items here, the training materials, the dot physical, and the drug test, all of these items are included, and they're marked at $0.00. And then we see this one with some of our aircraft providers. This one here is for the airplane instrument rating, and it also has an FAA check ride, which is an exam. make sure that it's listed as $0.00 on there. And again, if it's something like here, you see it has a book that the member would need, but the vendor does not provide, it's marked as no, and that has a cost. But the exam itself does is marked as $0.00. So some important takeaways from part four. Again, it's usually the section of the application that gets rejected and gets an email from me saying, "Hey, this has been disapproved. Here's why." Bundling is okay for training and exams as long as the exam is listed as $0.00. Again, if you don't offer the exam, just don't list it on your application. It'll help your application go through. Non-exam items such as books, study materials, practice tests, etc., can be listed as not provided by the vendor with the cost beside it. And remember, our soldiers are only authorized $4,000 per fiscal year. If you're offering something, say, in the aviation line where some of the trainings may cost, just give a number, $10,000. Well, active duty soldiers right now are only allowed to receive $1,000 per year toward that. And then they would have to take the rest of it at a later time, the next fiscal year or so. How you can help that soldier is when they select that for the first time. If you have your total costs on there, say you put $10,000 on there, the soldier's only going to be able to request that one time. They're only going to be able to get that $1,000. For the Guard and Reserve, they'll be able to get $4,000. But then the rest of it, they would have to figure out how to get it paid for. Where on the other end, if you've got it phased out, say you have private pilot phase one, private pilot phase two, and you kind of break it down, that soldier can go back and then request those additional items. All right, do I have any questions so far before I go on to the certificate of completion?
Sue asked, FYI, as I was completing my application, I noted the cost type had no choice for exam. I used materials.
That's fine. And you can list it as material, and then in the side box, just put exam voucher and what the exam voucher is for. That's perfectly fine.
And that is all.
Outstanding. All right, so the certificate of completion template. We sent this out a couple months ago to each and every one of our vendors just to, let you know this is available for you to use if you don't have one already generated. If you do, as long as you're providing the soldier's name, the course name, the start and end dates of the course, the vendor name, the date that it was completed, and if it was completed or failed, the vendor's signature and the date, as long as all of that is on your certificate of completion, you're good to go. If not, we're already seeing a lot of these templates coming back into us for soldiers. I greatly appreciate you guys using that. If you want to use this one, you're more than welcome to. I will send it out today at the end of our training. So keeping up with the application. Applications, again, are going to be reviewed annually as per the MOA directs. Starting 10 January 22, we will start with letters A through D, and we'll push through until the 17th of January. Each one will have 72 hours for their annual review. If you're looking to make changes to your application after that 72-hour period has come and gone, after the annual review has come and gone, you would need to make sure that one, if you're updating something that's already in the system, that you don't put it on the soldier's itemized price quote until at least 90 days have passed. But if you're decreasing the price or you're adding something new to the application, then you don't have to wait that 90-day window. And the final part on here is making sure that the applications match the prices that are listed on the itemized price quote. So if a soldier has a request for training for $4,000 and on the application you have books, prep course, exam voucher, everything else that all say zero, then on the itemized price quote, we should get a price quote that says total cost $4,000, and then you should have book, prep course, exam voucher, etc., all listed as zero with the total cost at the bottom of $4,000. All right. So before I go to the recap, anything so far, Sophia?
No, other than you just mentioned it, will the slide deck be provided? And you do it
Yep.
for-
I'm going to make sure every one of y'all have this slide deck as well as the 2 links to the training from right now and the training from this morning. And I will make sure the template is on there as well. Stu asks, is there a template available for the quote or is it just a simple document we can create? You can definitely create it. We do have a template that we created for the quote itself that identifies what needs to be on there. I can send that out to you as well if that'll help you out, just to make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's, if that'll help.
That would be great. Thanks.
No worries. All right, so quick recap. Mrs. Sweeney gave us the program manager update for today. The annual review schedule, we went over that starting January 10th, 22. We went over creating an account for new employees, updating your application during the annual review, the certificate of completion template, and keeping up with the application after your annual review process. So we're going to open up the floor right now to see if any of you have any questions that you might want to throw our way. I see Mary's hand up. Hey, Mary.
Hi there, Russell. Thank you. I actually have 2 questions. The first one is Sophia had mentioned about the new funding being approved or being extended until February 18th. And I just want to clarify, we have 3 courses that start in February, and we have soldiers that are registered for those classes. And I'm hoping, I believe that they fill out their credentialing assistance, their form on the website, and we've sent them quotes. So are you saying that the classes in February, the funding will probably be delayed after that date of the 21st, or the 18th?
Hi. So we
Sorry.
don't know, but we don't know because
Oh,
until we actually get the either it's resolved early, or if it's resolved early, great, nothing is affected, right?
okay.
If it's extended, that could also pose a problem. And if it's extended on the 18th, that's when we have an issue. If there's no resolution by the 18th of February, that means finance can't pay anything after the 18th. They could pay up to the 18th, but nothing past the 18th. So if your class starts on the 21st, if we don't get an answer that early that day, or on the 17th, on the 18th, 17th or 18th, more than likely you will not receive payment on the 21st. That's why we ask that that following week after the 18th, if it is at all possible not to have a start date on that week, that would be great. That would avoid a lot of issues if, and again, this is all if that resolution is resolved on the 18th, or we have no answer and it's extended on the 18th. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
No
And then
problem.
I have one other question. Is it safe to say that all soldiers that have an email, the ending should be army.mil? Is that correct?
It is not correct completely. There's a lot of soldiers that have army.mil, but there are still some soldiers out there that still have the mail.mil, and it's up to the soldier to fix it in their account. Yeah, unfortunately, I think the end date for the mail.mil is like March or something like that. So we're still going to see soldiers with the mail.mil. Currently, for some, like for example ours, if you send it to mail.mil, it auto sends to army.mil, but that'll eventually stop as well.
Okay,
So
thank you very
until
much.
they have to change it in the system.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And Linda says, do soldiers have to do anything to qualify or pre-paperwork to be eligible for CA? We have worked with TA, but not as much for CA so far. So Linda, regarding that, the eligibility criteria is very similar to tuition assistance. So if that soldier is flagged for some reason and can't use TA, they're not going to be eligible for CA. However, if they have if they're on some type of GPA hold, or there's some issue like some type of hold or maybe they completed all their degrees, which they would not be eligible for tuition assistance, that does not hold them back from using credentialing assistance. Okay. So there's some similarities to TA eligibility, but not all, right? So I hope that answered your question. And then please copy and paste the email in the chat so we can save it on our end. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. So any other questions? Looks like Mary has her hand up. Okay. Your hand still is showing that it's up, so that's probably why. Anyone else? Okay, here's one. Wisconsin Aviation. Okay, Wisconsin Aviation. Who would be the best to contact about learning this process? I'm a new employee for my company. And the person who monitored all of this did not leave any information on the process. My supervisor and I are attempting to navigate the waters on this end, and I would greatly appreciate some extra assistance available. Morgan Long-Term Flight School coordinator with okay.
So for this one, I can definitely send you out the training slides and everything that we have. If we need to, we can definitely schedule a time between us and maybe do another Teams call. We can walk you through the process and answer some of the questions that you may have regarding how to set your information up, how to get squared away, if that would help you out.
And I want to answer Shelly's question. She said, I uploaded a certificate of non-completion for a soldier, but it's still showing overdue. Right, and this was the glitch I was talking about. There's some life ray issue. When you're actually in the soldier's account or CA request and you upload it, it should say pending review, right? If it says pending review there, and then you move out into your queue and it still shows as overdue, that's the glitch, right? You might have done it and it's probably right. If it says it in the CA request shows that it has it's just pending the review of completion, then you're good to go. It might not reflect properly on your actual queue when you go back there. Does that help you, Shelly? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you all very much, and I hope, really appreciate all the support and help that you give to us and soldiers. Really appreciate that. So thank you, and I wish you all the very best and a happy, or actually Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Back to you, Russell.
And same thing here for me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank each and every one of you. Hope the Christmas music cheered you up a little bit and got you ready to have a great Christmas season. And we look forward to working with each and every one of you going into 2022. So until then, you know how to get a hold of us, but stay safe and thanks for all that you do for our soldiers.